Vanity and aging, why some people fight time and others make peace with it. Welcome to Elderescence Academy, reflections on growing older with curiosity, creativity, and calm. Aging is one of the few experiences that every human being shares, yet the ways people respond to it vary enormously. Some individuals meet the passing of time with determination. They exercise discipline over their appearance, invest in skincare, hair treatments, aesthetic procedures, and sometimes surgery. They aim to preserve a version of themselves that feels familiar, a face, a body, an image that reflects the vitality they still feel within. Others take a very different path. They allow the changes of time to appear openly. Hair turns grey, skin softens, lines deepen, and the body shifts its shape and rhythm. They may care for themselves well, but they do not attempt to resist the visible signs of age. These two responses are often presented as opposites, as if one represents vanity and the other represents acceptance. In reality, the motivations behind them are far more complex. Human beings have always been attentive to appearance. Long before modern cosmetics and surgery existed, people used dyes, clothing, jewelry, hairstyles, and rituals of grooming to shape how they were seen. Appearance has always carried social meaning. It signals health, status, identity, creativity, belonging. In many ways, caring about how one looks is simply part of being human. What changes with age is not the instinct itself, but the context surrounding it. Modern societies place a great deal of symbolic value on youth. Youth is associated with possibility, beauty, fertility, productivity, novelty. Entire industries have grown around preserving the outward signs of youth for as long as possible. Against this background, it is understandable that some people choose to intervene in the aging process. Cosmetic procedures, dermatology, dentistry, and aesthetic medicine offer tools that previous generations never had access to. For some individuals, these tools provide confidence. They help a person feel that their outward appearance still reflects their inner energy. Others enjoy the artistry involved in shaping their image. In these cases, aesthetic intervention can feel like an extension of personal expression. At the same time, there are people who feel little desire to resist visible aging. They may see wrinkles or grey hair not as problems to solve, but as markers of experience. Each change tells a story of time lived. This perspective often grows alongside a broader shift in priorities. As people accumulate years of experience, attention sometimes moves away from appearance and toward other aspects of life: relationships, creativity, knowledge, or simply peace of mind. The mirror becomes less central. Neither approach is necessarily more authentic than the other. In fact, the boundary between them is often fluid. A person might dye their hair but feel comfortable with wrinkles. Another might avoid cosmetic procedures but enjoy beautiful clothing or jewelry. Many people move between these attitudes at different stages of life. What makes the subject particularly interesting is the role that identity plays. For some individuals, appearance has been closely tied to their sense of self for many years. Actors, performers, public figures, and people whose work relies on visual presentation may feel that maintaining a particular image is part of their professional identity. Changing that image can feel like changing a role that they have inhabited for decades. Others never experienced appearance as a central part of their identity. Their sense of self may be rooted more strongly in intellectual, creative, or relational qualities. For them, visible aging feels less consequential. There is also the psychological dimension of familiarity. Human beings tend to prefer continuity. We become accustomed to our reflection over time, and sudden changes can feel disorienting. For some people, aesthetic interventions help maintain a sense of continuity with the person they recognize in the mirror. For others, adaptation comes more easily. They simply adjust their mental image of themselves as time progresses. Cultural background also plays a role. Different societies interpret aging in different ways. In some cultures, visible age is associated with wisdom, authority, and dignity. In others, youth is strongly prioritized as a symbol of vitality and relevance. These cultural signals inevitably influence individual choices. Yet perhaps the most interesting shift occurs internally. As people move further into adulthood, many discover that the emotional weight they once attached to appearance begins to change. The attention that was once directed toward external evaluation gradually moves inward. Instead of asking, "How do I look to others?" the question becomes, "How do I feel within my own life?" For some, aesthetic care remains an enjoyable form of self-expression. For others, the energy once spent managing appearance becomes available for different pursuits: art, travel, learning, friendships, reflection. Both choices can coexist peacefully. What matters most is that the choice belongs to the individual rather than to social pressure. Aging is not a competition with a single correct strategy. It is a personal process that unfolds differently for every person. Some will sculpt their appearance carefully for many decades. Others will allow time to mark their features openly. Both approaches reflect the same underlying freedom, the ability to decide how one wishes to inhabit the passing years. And perhaps that freedom is one of the quieter privileges of aging itself. The older we become, the less we need to follow a single script for how life should look. Instead, we gain the space to decide for ourselves. Thank you for listening to Elderescence Academy. Until next time, stay curious.